Alright, I got my hole cut in the floor for my shifter linkage. Got the panel. So what I did is I laid out the outside of the panel. I traced it first, so you can see the outline, and then I drew a line on the inside so I still have some metal. Because I'm not sure if I'm going to weld this panel in, or if I'm going to bond it in. I might use the 3M 81, I think it's 8150, I think. It's a panel bonding agent. Use it to put bedsides and stuff on. So I might use that, I'm not sure. But here's my problem though, is I'm not using a stock shifter. If I was using a stock shifter, it would mount up, it would come right out, and it would sit here. I'm using an early Hust quick shifter. It's a competition shifter, quick shifter, I guess is what they call it. But it's a Hust competition shifter. It came with this nice bracket and all that. I cleaned it up, painted it. So it still mounts in the stock location, but the shifter itself sits back about center console, so it'll be easier to shift it, and you don't have that long shifter sitting there. But I got to figure out how I want to cut and do the tunnel because it doesn't sit in the factory location. So I gotta modify the tunnel piece some. So when I figure that out, I will let y'all know what I did, so that way if you guys come across one of these shifters, you can have an idea of how to mount it. Tried finding directions. I really couldn't find too much with directions on it, on how Hust says to do it. Most I could find is just saying install shifter, install shifter, install shifter. And that's about all I can find. No pictures, nothing like that. There's probably somebody out there that has one of these kits with directions on how they say to modify it, but I couldn't find it when I was looking. I could find the part number of the shifter and, you know, part number of the bracket and all that, but I just couldn't find the directions really on how to modify your car for it. But I'll figure that out. Can't be too hard. Right. I got this all mounted up now. Now I got an idea of what I'm going to do. Now I can see how it sits. Okay, these shift rods here, they just go forward and aft in this location. They don't actually go up and down. You know, for right now it's in first, second, third, and fourth. Okay. So since they just go forward and aft, even for reverse, okay, they don't really raise up too much. So that's actually kind of a good thing for this. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this tunnel and I'm going to end up actually panel bonding it. I went through and made sure I had some. I'm going to use 8115, okay, panel bond adhesive to glue this in. But before I do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this shifter back off. I'm going to take the tunnel. I'm going to mount the tunnel up with from sheet metal screws through this lip into here. Okay, then what I can do is then I can cut this so then I can mount it. Okay, so I can mount this back up. Test fit everything before gluing it. Panel bond likes to release with heat. So you don't want to be grinding or cutting on it because it might release. Chances are it probably won't, but it likes to. You can take a torch to it and it'll make it release. But what I'm going to do to try to keep water out is I'm going to mount this up, and I'm going to try to, I might end up trimming it a little bit here, okay, cutting a tiny bit out, so then this can fit here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut a square hole in this, where I got to cut it for the rods to go through, for these rods. Okay, then I'm going to take some baffle sealed stuff I got at work for using on baffles on an airplane to seal them, you know, against the cowling. But I'm going to take a piece of that and I'm going to put it in here. I'm going to cut a hole for this rod. I'm going to cut a hole for this rod. I'm going to cut a hole for this rod. And I'm going to attach it on, and I'm going to cut a little piece of aluminum, probably in a square, around it, and sandwich that between this. So that way the rods can run through there. I might, when I cut the holes, I might slice it so when I can put it on there with everything mounted, and then just put a couple screws in to hold it. Might even put some RTV around it just to try to seal it. I want to try to seal it so that I can keep all moisture and water out. That's the other reason I'm going to probably use the panel bond, because it's, when you squeeze it out of the tube, you need a special applicator gun I got. When you squeeze it out, it's kind of like a two-part epoxy is the best way to say it, and it's gooey, so I can seal this to this, and I can also put some in here to seal it, to try to keep some out of the this is the floor here, but this is the mounting bracket for the cross rib that the transmission sits in. So I can't really show it from here, but that's what it is. It's the rib for that. So I'm going to put a bunch of panel bond in there to try to seal it and keep water out. And that's the other reason I'm going to be doing what I'm doing with mounting this with the panel bond, and then doing the baffle seal on this side to seal it to keep water out of the car. So that way I'm not driving down the road and I don't start getting water pulling up on the floor. That's what I'm thinking about doing with that. Just try to seal it, keep everything dry. I do plan on driving this thing. It's not going to be a garage queen. It's not going to be a show car. It's going to be a driver. So if it gets stuck in the rain, oh well, not the end of the world. So that's what I'm trying to do, is, you know, seal everything and all that. Even when I did the floors, I went through and I got seam sealer. I used some 3M seam sealer on it to seal up the seams. And I painted the underside where I welded the floor pan in and all that to try to protect it and keep it from rusting out. I'm going to paint this inside floor with something before I put the carpet and all back in. It probably won't be pretty, but it's going to be painted, so at least it kind of matches. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and it's going to take me a little bit because I got to do it. I'm going to set the panel bond up, let it sit up dry overnight and all that. So it's going to be a day or so until I can get back to it once I get everything cut and figured out. Cool deal. Thank y'all. If you guys like this video, please like, subscribe, follow, whole 9 yards, you know, yada yada yada. And again, thank you guys if you do that. And thank you for watching.